You are being watched right now. Not by a camera, not by a government, not by anyone specific. By yourself. And a French philosopher who died in 1984 said, "That is the most sophisticated form of control ever invented." Not the prison, not the surveillance camera, not the algorithm. The moment you started policing yourself without anyone asking you to. His name was Michel Foucault, and the idea he published in 1975, a book almost nobody outside academia has read, is the most accurate description of your daily life ever written. Before Instagram existed, before the algorithmic feed, before the like button, before you woke up this morning and wondered, even for a second, what anyone would think. He saw all of it coming. Foucault was born in France in 1926. He studied philosophy and psychology. He was one of the most brilliant and difficult thinkers of the 20th century, a man whose work on power, knowledge, and control transformed philosophy, sociology, political theory, and medicine. And in 1975, he published a book called Discipline and Punish. It begins with a torture, not metaphorically, literally. The public execution of a man named Damiens in 1757, condemned for attempted regicide. Foucault describes it in clinical detail. The flesh torn with pincers, molten lid poured into the wounds, the body pulled apart by horses, the crowd watching. And then, immediately, he cuts to a prison timetable from 80 years later. Rise at 6, meals at set hours, work from 8 to 12, prayers at fixed times, lights out. No torture, no violence, no spectacle. And Foucault asks, which of these is more powerful? The answer is the timetable. Because torture only controls the body during the torture. The moment it stops, the control stops. Discipline, the quiet, organized, scheduled management of behavior, never stops. It does not need to. Because eventually, the person being disciplined starts disciplining themselves. This is the central insight of Foucault's entire philosophy. Power does not primarily work through force. It works through internalization. You do not need a guard if the prisoner has learned to guard themselves. And to explain exactly how this works, Foucault turns to a building that was never fully built, but describes the modern world more precisely than anything actually constructed. The Panopticon. In 1787, an English philosopher named Jeremy Bentham designed the perfect prison, a circular ring of cells, each one backlit, each one completely visible from the outside. In the center of the circle, a single tower. A guard sits in the tower. From there, the guard can see into every cell simultaneously. But here is the key. The prisoners cannot see into the tower. They cannot tell if the guard is there, or not there, or looking at them, or looking somewhere else. So they have to assume, at every moment, that they are being watched. And that assumption, that permanent invisible uncertainty, is enough. The prisoners begin to police themselves. The guard does not even need to be there. Power, once internalized, becomes self-sustaining. Foucault wrote, "He who is subjected to a field of visibility, and who knows it, assumes responsibility for the constraints of power. He makes them play spontaneously upon himself." You become, in his words, the principle of your own subjection, your own guard, your own prisoner. Now stop, because this is the moment the video stops being about 18th century prison architecture and starts being about this morning. Think about the last time you posted something online. Before you posted it, did you think about how it would look? Who would see it? What they would think? Did you change anything because of that thought? That is the Panopticon. Think about your behavior at work, not when your manager is watching, when you are not sure if your manager is watching. Does that uncertainty change how you act? That is the Panopticon. Think about the last time you were in public, on a street, in a cafe, in a gym, and you adjusted something about yourself, your posture, your expression, what you ordered, what you said, because you were aware, even vaguely, that someone might be watching. That is the Panopticon. Foucault's argument was not that surveillance cameras or social media are bad. His argument was something far more disturbing, that we have built systems so effective at producing the feeling of being watched that the actual watching is no longer necessary. The tower can be empty. You are already doing the work. Social media is the most sophisticated panopticon ever constructed. Not because someone is watching you, but because you can never be entirely sure who is, or whether the thing you post today will be seen by someone you have not thought of, in a context you cannot predict, in a future you cannot see. And so you self-censor, self-edit, self-manage, self-perform, constantly, automatically, without anyone asking you to. The UK Home Secretary said in 2026 that her goal was to use AI to achieve, and I am quoting directly, what Jeremy Bentham tried to do with his Panopticon. The eyes of the state on you at all times. Foucault said this in 1975. He is being cited by governments in 2026, not as a warning, as a blueprint. So what did Foucault actually want from us? He was not offering a solution. He did not believe solutions were simple. But he believed, absolutely, that awareness was the beginning of everything. That you cannot resist a system you cannot see, and that most people, most of the time, cannot see the walls around them because the walls are inside them. He wrote, "Power reaches into the very grain of individuals. It touches their bodies. It inserts itself into their actions and attitudes, their discourses, their learning processes, their everyday lives." Not from outside, from inside. The most powerful prison, Foucault is telling you, is the one you have built for yourself. Out of the accumulated weight of invisible watching, real and imagined, past and future. And you do not even notice, because the bars are made of behavior you have chosen freely, under observation. The question Foucault leaves you with is not how to escape the Panopticon. It is simpler and harder than that. When was the last time you did something that no one would ever see? Not for an audience, not for the feed, not for the record, just for yourself. Alone, unwatched, unperformed. If you cannot remember, Foucault already has your answer. This is Philokemi. We will see you in the next one.